So in this presentation, we're going to be talking about working with text in the Linux command line. All right, and the first thing here is, what is a text file? All right, and you might think about on your computer a text file being a Word document or something like that. But a text file at its heart is really just a group of characters. And one of the big keys here is there's no formatting. All right, we don't have any formatting on text files. So love it or hate it, that's the way the game works. All right. And the other thing here is extensions really don't matter for the purpose of text. All right, you can have all sorts of different text files with all sorts of different extensions, and it's not going to change anything. All right, the whole point of a text file, not a text file, of a file extension is to tell your computer what to do with that file when you open it. Well, how should I? Should I open file? Should I open Office, or should I open Outlook, or should I open Excel, or should I open web browser? Whatever the case is, that is the point of an extension. It doesn't tell you anything about the file itself. It just tells you about the what software to open it with. So extensions really don't matter, and if you really don't want them, you don't have to put an extension on there. But it definitely can be helpful for you. So I like to include those types of things in my documents sometimes. Now, when it comes to viewing files in your terminal, there are a lot of different options as usual. All right. Well, hopefully you've heard of cat before. All right, that is short for concatenate. All right, and this displays text files right in your terminal. So on the right here, if I go ahead and do type cat, and I have a file called single word. All right, I've had enter. It shows me right there in my terminal that's that word. All right, it doesn't bring up anything else, doesn't do anything. It just says, okay, here's the file. We're going to spit all the contents into your terminal. Now with one word, not too bad. What if we do 2 words? I got a file 2 words, has 2 words, example file. All right, that's still not bad. What if we do 100? All right, now you can see it kind of starts getting kind of annoying. Now I've got a really high, tall screen, whatnot, so I can see, we ran what, like almost 80, no, 60 of these at once. All right, so it's really not bad for me looking at a 100 line file. If your resolution on your monitors is good, or you don't have as big of a window, obviously that can be a bit of a downer. It can be very annoying to have to scroll things, especially when you get on things that are over 100 lines. If you have something that's 1,000 lines, you're looking at a log file for something, that can definitely be a big problem for you. All right, so another option that you have then would be pager. So if we do pager 100 lines, all right, you can see that it's showing me on the screen, and again, this is right in the screen, 1 to 61. All right, and then if I do page down, it shows me, well, 40 to 100. That's because, there weren't as many lines left in the file that I needed a whole second screen for. So for my little demo here, I have 2 screens. So I can do page up and page down as I like. All right. You can also use the arrow keys to move one line at a time. So that is really quite convenient. And I also notice at the very bottom of the screen, as I was saying, you'll notice that right below this, there's a little semicolon right there. All right. And that's telling you that you haven't reached the end of that file yet. Yeah, let me get rid of that and make life a little bit easier. All right, so if I scroll down, now you'll notice it says end. So it says, hey, you're at the end of the file. All right, how you quit out a pager is using Q. So you just type Q and it exits out. It doesn't matter where you are. If you hit Q, it will X you out. So you can be at the beginning, you can be in the middle, doesn't matter. Q will exit out of that for you. Another option we have is more or less. All right, and less is just an advanced version of more. However, the other thing to think about with less is it may not be pre-installed by default. So depending on the distribution that you chose, you may not have less installed. So you may have to install it if you want to use it. All right. But we could do more by 100 lines. All right. And again, it's showing me the same thing. Now this one's kind of nice. It is telling me, hey, you've got 57%. All right. At the very bottom, you can see I have 57% of my file that is showing on the screen. All right. I can use spacebar to move forward. And notice that this one, when I hit the end of the line, it exits out. All right. If you use enter, it's one line at a time. All right. You can do H for help to get some information about these shortcut keys that I'm talking about right now. All right. So we've got some options there. Now, if we were going to go into the wonderful world of less, and again the same thing, 100 lines. All right. We can actually do searching. All right. So if we do /EE and then hit enter, all right, you can actually see all of the little places it's finding EE. All right, so it's finding them in the middle of the words. It's finding them, all over the place on here. All right, and again, that's really a nice little handy thing if you're looking for something specific. So that is definitely something to keep in the back of your mind of being able to search through files like this. There are other ways, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but this is one of those options that might be useful for you. Now, once you're searching, to go forward, you can use the N button. So N takes you down to the next one. So if you notice right now we're in 36, the next one will be 43. When I hit N, jumps down to the 43 one. And notice how the bottom of the screen, we're just getting those little tildes. That's because basically it's like, hey, you're still in this, all right, but we don't have any actual text to show you down here. So we're just going to put tildes in and let you know that we're still in this document type of thing. So again, just kind of something to be aware of. Shift N goes the opposite way, all right. So little give and take there. Also, if you want to search from the bottom up, all right, let's just go ahead and quit out of this and come back in. So I want to search from the bottom up. That would be $EE. All right, and now it jumps me to the very bottom of the document. And if I do N, I'm now actually moving up the document, and Shift N moves me down. So it does the exact same thing. It's just where do you want to start searching? Do you want to start at the top or the bottom? That's really the only difference there. Next, reviewing files in Terminal, we have heads and tails. All right. This is very useful for files when you only care about the very beginning of a file or maybe the very end. Probably log files is where you're going to use this the most often, especially log files with the tail command, because normally you want to see the last few things that got written to that log because that's, it errored out on you recently. You're like, what's going on? So, but anyway, we can go to a nice little example here. So we can say, head, and again, 100 lines. All right. And again, notice it's showing by default the first 10. If we would do tail, 100 lines, it would show me the last 10. All right. You can add on more lines to that. You could do -n. You could be like, I want to see 20. And now it's showing me the last 20. And if I were to do that command with the head option, -n space 20, now it's showing me the first 20. All right. So again, kind of something that's overall very useful to kind of just keep in the back of your mind. And the other thing, the other tool or function, argument per se, that the tail command has. So we would do tail, 100 lines. And if we would do -f, you'll notice that it doesn't jump you right into the, or it doesn't exit out of the document right away. Now you may have noticed that I got an error out on that one instead of it working correctly. If you're really, not smart, if you're very on top of it and listen to what I was saying, you'll notice that I had the head command in there, not the tail command. So if we go ahead and do tail, 100 lines, -f, there's no point to have -f on the head command because it's only going to show you the beginning, so you don't see the stuff against the end of the end. So the tail command does allow you to do that. But as I was saying a minute ago, you'll notice that it's not exiting out of this thing, all right? It is staying in it. So it is waiting. So it's like, hey, if anything going to get added to this? And if you did have a file that was constantly updating this log or whatever the case is, it would then just show you to there at the very bottom. All right. I don't have anything that's updating this file. This is just a text document for me. All right. So, and then we have to do Control C because that is still running. So to get out of it, Control C is the option there. Now, we have what are called command line pipes, all right? And a pipe is a way to send the output of one command to another, all right? And that is the vertical line. Traditionally, that's the button right above enter on your keyboard, all right? If you just do enter, it gives you the backslash. So if you do shift enter, or shift that one, sorry, just do that button, it's backslash. Shift that one gives you that vertical line, and that we're calling that the pipe. This is often going to be used to find the results of your initial command. So let's say you did the ls etc/etc. So we're listing the documents of etc. As you can see here, there's a lot of things going on. All right. Well, let's say we maybe only wanted to see them, a little bit at a time. So you could do ls etc and then pipe that into pager. All right. So now you can see, as we go down, we've got multiple pages going on there. So we can pipe things in like that. Now, the other thing you can do, there is the option to add numbers. So we could pipe that into NL. All right, and now you can see that it's actually putting a number on every one of those options, just so helps you kind of keep track of things. This is really good for lines in a log file again, because you'd be like, okay, what line number was that? It adds that there for you, so you don't have to have it built into the file or the logger or whatever the case. You can just see what line on the file that was. So that is really handy. However, the one thing you do need to be aware of is the order of piping sometimes will matter. So here we have an example where we're going to do ls of etc, and then we're going to do line numbers, NL, and then we're going to pipe that to tail. We're only going to show the last 5. And here you can see that it labeled them 241, 242, 43, 44, 45. All right. However, if we would switch the tail command and the line number command, all right, it's going to do something different. And I bet some of you have already figured it out. It's going to just label it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So again, that where that like 9 number, without the order of you piping things, becomes very important in the long run. So we just need to be kind of careful when you're thinking about doing those types of things and making sure that you are piping things to places you're expecting in the right order, so that way the data is being processed how it really should be. We can also redirect text. All right. And there are a few different options. So the one that you will probably use most often is the std out or standard out. All right. This takes the output of your normal command and redirects it to somewhere else. All right. And this std out only happens if there aren't any errors in that command. All right. This is sometimes called a stream or channel number 1. So std out is stream number 1 or channel number 1. SDERR or standard error, that is stream number 2 or channel number 2. All right. But let's go ahead and give a nice little example here. All right. So if normally we would say echo, hello world. Let's put this in quotes. Hello world. All right. And boom, it just, shows us to us on the screen. All right. But if I take hello world and then I do a standard out, then it's just a greater sign. All right. And then I would say, log file. You'll notice that hello world did not print this time. All right. That's because instead of it printing to the terminal, it's saying, oh, I'm supposed to save that to this file, log file. So if I do a cat log file right now, you'll see it says hello world. All right. So if you only use a single one of these, it's going to take whatever that was supposed to go there and it's going to output it to your log file. So if I would do it again and I'd say hello world 2, and then I'd cat that log file, you see now it says hello world 2. It doesn't say hello world anymore. All right. But if I make this a double arrow, and I make it 3, just so we can get my point across, you can now see that it actually added. All right. So if you have a single greater than sign, that's going to overwrite the file. If you have a double, it's going to add to the end of the file. So anytime you're doing logs and things like that, that you want to just output the results of a command or something to a file, the double arrow is going to be very important for you. All right. Of all the redirections on the screen, that std out, standard output with the single, or probably the double, is the one that's going to be most used. Single, depending on what you're trying to do, but most likely that double is the one that's going to be used the most. All right. Now, let's try to do something that that gives us an error. All right. So we have the standard error. This is error messages generated by commands. So I want to list hello. All right. That can't happen. All right. So if I did list hello and I again try to send it to my log file, helps if I can type. All right. Notice it still puts the output here. And if I cat my log file again, all right, it doesn't tell me anything. So it did erase it because there was no output. All right. However, if I do that same ls, but I put a 2 in front of this and I do it, you won't see any output here. All right. And if I go to that cat log file, you can now see that error that happened. All right. So we do have that option to have an error and send that to a specific location. All right. So definitely something that you want to kind of keep in the back of your mind. All right. We do have the option to do multiple redirects at the same time. All right. So we could do, hello world. Let's do a list hello to the log file, and then we'd say the good stuff to good, or success. Maybe we'll call it success. That sounds good. All right. So if we would go ahead and do, let's remove log file first. That way it's a good command here. Cat log file. Log. Yeah, see, it doesn't exist. All right, so if I do ls hello to log file, it goes, and then if we look at cat log file, it tells us the error. All right, now if I just do ls, and look at cat log file, it's empty because there was no errors. But if I look at cat success, you can see the output of that. So we can do both at the same time. You can send them both to different file locations if that's what you want. If you want to send them to the same file location, we could just take this and put an and sign in front of it. All right. And now when I do this, cat log file, there we go. But again, if I would say ls tests and greater than log file, and then I do cat log file now. Now you can see the error shows up in that same file. All right. So depending on what's going on, you know, do you want to output one thing to one location? Do you want to output both the same location? Do you want to do different locations? It's just a matter of your personal preference of what data you're trying to capture, where you're trying to redirect it to, and what you're going to do with that data in the long run. We also do have SD-in. All right. This is information entered normally by the user via the keyboard. This isn't going to be used all that often because normally we can pass arguments through, right? When we're doing the ls command, you know, we can pass in this specific folder or whatever the case is, all right? But not everything gives you the opportunity to enter things. And let's go ahead and we're going to do the tr command, which takes a set of characters and translates it. All right, so we're going to do, okay, tr, single quote, a-z, space, oh, single quote, a-z, capitalized. All right, when I hit enter, now notice again, we're kind of like mid-command here. It's waiting for information. It didn't let me enter, just, you know, specify something right after it, which I can show you in a minute. But now as I type, hello, notice when I hit enter, it sends it and says, okay, translate this. All right, if I were to try and type that at the end of it, it says, hey, whoa, there's an extra operator in there. We don't know what to do with this. All right, so we could actually pipe that information in. And I forgot, gotta save it as text file first. So we gotta make that text file. So again, we're gonna go with nano hello. And we're just gonna make it hello, just to make my life easy here. Now I can run that exact same command, and look, now it did that. So it's saying, hey, you can pipe information in. All right. So most commands we're going to accept we're going to accept arguments as files or something that you can pass into it. Not all the time though. So that SD-in can be super duper helpful. All right. Next we've got sorting. All right. So you have a giant file, all right, that you want to see, and you want to be able to deal with it. All right. So if we go ahead and just do cat pass wd, I don't have that file. Oh. Nope. Should have a password file in here, but it's my password. Cat my pass. There we go. All right. So we can see, and this is going to be a little complicated because you're looking at this. There's a lot of text going on with not a lot of information, but we can sort this. All right. So this is default going to sort things alphabetically. All right. So if we would just do sort my password. All right. If you look now, it's bin, daemon, root, sync, sys. All right. So they are in order. All right. And before it was daemon, bin, sys, sync. So, and root was first. So we did sort them. Now we have other options here. You can do -t to specify a delimiter. So if you want to not worry about the first letter, if you want to say, I want it to sort by the third column per se. All right. So we could do that. And what's the delimiter? Well, by default, it's tab. All right. Which is a CSV. Oh, no. So tab is the default. All right. But if you want to use something else, you could say, you could define that. All right. With the -t option. All right. And you have to do the symbol. So we would do sort -t. All right. And then we can tell it like what type of sort we want to do. So in this case, we'll use a -n. All right. To say numeric sort. And then we can say -k to say which field to use. So we're going to go with the third field. So sys x3. So in this case, 3 is what we're sorting by. Not 3, but 3, 4, 0, 1, 2. All right. And we're going to use that same file. So when I hit enter here, now it sorts by that. So you can see it's 0, 1, 2, 3. All right. So that's cool. So you can do that. And you can do, all sorts of crazy things with this. And again, this comes down to what is your personal preference? What are you trying to do with it? It all is up to you. So think about that, keep that in the back of your mind. And most of what I'm telling you guys is one of those things that you want to keep in the back of your mind. You want to try them out, explore them, play with them, see how they work. But you always just want to keep these things in the back of your minds. When you come across something like this, you're like, oh, I remember, I can do that somehow. Then you may have to look it back up again. But it's always good to know how to do it. All right. Now we have file statistics. All right. So again, I have a file called 100 lines. All right. So I can do WC and -L, and if I do my 100 lines, it should tell me the answer is 100 and 100 lines. It tells me how many lines there are. All right, if I do that in 2 words instead, which is 2 lines, you see it says 2 word. All right, so there's 2 lines and 2 word. All right, you could do dash W to get the number of words. You could do dash C to find the number of bytes. All right, and bytes is basically how many characters there are. All right, you could combine them. So you could say I want to do LC. All right, so it says 2 and then 13. All right, now it always tells you in line word byte order. All right, if I were to say I want to see characters, comma lines, notice it doesn't change that. So I did LC or CL. They both output the exact same thing. So lines is always going to show first, then words if you ask for it, and then bytes. All right, so you got to make sure that when you are doing this, that you're asking for the right information. Again, we could add W to this just to get all three of them, so you can see, well, 2 words. Let's go with 100. That one's a little bit more fun, right? You can see there's 100 lines, 235 words, or 1,222 bytes of information. So it's 1,222 characters in that one. All right. Now we can also keep processing these texts. We can cut things out, so we're only looking at specific data that we care about. All right, so that will be the cut command. We have some options there. Again, so this time if you want to specify your delimiter, we can use -D for it instead of -T. It would be nice if they would have been consistent, but they're not, so it's just something to be aware of. You also have the -F to specify which fields it is that you care about. All right, so if we go back to that myPassword command, all right, we could do cut space -D. Again, we're using colon because that's what we have there. All right, and then I'm going to say just F1. I just want to see the first field. Oh, I got to give it a file. And that would be myPasswd. There we go. Oh, and I missed a space. Syntax gets you every time. There we go. So now it's just showing me just that first column. All right. If I change that F1 to F2, it would show me just the second column, which in this case they're all X's. If we go to 3, you should see different numbers. All right. And you could say, I want to see 3, to 5. And it will show you that range. Oh, I have 5, 3, but it will show you the range. I think that's showing me the whole thing because I screwed that up. F3, all right, and then, yeah, 3, F3-5, there we go. All right, so now it's showing me third column, fourth column, and fifth column. All right, so make sure you get your syntax right and you're actually paying attention to what you're doing, not just trying to be quick about it like me. All right, I make mistakes too. I'm not perfect here. All right, so we do have that option. If you have fixed width columns, like every column in your file has 4 spaces or whatever, you can use -C for a number for telling you how wide those things are. Obviously, if we look at this, our first column are different, but after that, they're somewhat the same for a few columns. But you got to be consistent through your document. So make sure that you are focusing that on the right effort there. Now we have what's called basic regular expressions. And I'm realizing that my PowerPoint is missing grep. All right, so we'll quick go ahead and we'll just write that up on the screen right now because we're going to use it. All right, grep, sorry, that should be a lowercase. All right, grep. All right, grep is what helps you filter lines in a file or outputs that match specific patterns. All right, so we have a great example here in the. So again, let's just do cat. Let's look at the file first. Etc. passwords. All right, you can see that we've got a lot going on here. Let's clear the screen and do it again, just so we have not quite as much. We got half a screen here of information. There's a lot going on there. All right, so something just to kind of be aware of. All right, but anyway, so if we want to filter that, we're going to look for the user bash. All right, so we could do grep. All right, we would use -N to show the line numbers because it's always nice to have line numbers. And when we type what we were looking for, so it was bash, and then again we're going to search in the etc/passwd file. All right, and now you can see here in green it's telling us the line numbers, and then red is showing you where it found that information. All right, so that's super helpful overall, in my opinion. Really nice to be able to see, to search through a document or whatever it is that you want and get that information spit out at you. However, maybe you have things that you're not, you don't know 100% for exactly what you're looking for. We have options there with these regular expressions to look through those. All right. So if you don't know a specific single character, you can use the period. All right. So we're going to go ahead and use a slightly different example here. So I'm going to do, let's go ahead and let's cat red. All right. So here's a list of words that start with R. All right. So I'm looking for a word. So I could do grep, single quotes, R, period, F. Single quote, and then that red file. All right. And here you're seeing that it shows me all the words that have two spots missing in the middle. And it doesn't matter what letter it is as long as there's a letter there. So allows us to search through that. All right. You may be saying that's nice. And I agree. Very useful. All right. We did kind of talk about this in a previous presentation about all the different options for searching through things. So this is kind of an extension on that. Now we can also use brackets. All right. All right. So I'm going to do grep. And what a bracket does is allows you to list the range of characters to match. So the period is any character. A bracket allows us to specify which one. So I'm looking for RE bracket A comma E bracket D and red dot text. Oh, missed a single quote. There we go. And now I can found it said read and read and read. Just one with an E and one with an A. All right. And again, it was looking for RE. Didn't care. Then the third letter had to be an E or an A, and the last letter had to be a D. All right. So brackets allows to specify that. One thing that I guess it seems to matter on the OS that you're using is to make sure you list your characters in the proper order. All right. My notes say that they must enter the letters, the characters in the ASCII numerical order or ASCII order. So just be careful of that. I feel like I've tested it on this system. I'll just run a quick test. E comma A, and let me delete the other E. And look, it still works. All right, so I don't know if they've gotten smart or whatnot. Maybe if we're doing a range, it matters more. So let's try that. E-A. Yep, invalid range. Now if I would do A-E, then it's fine. All right, so if you're doing a range, it matters. If you're just doing specific characters with a comma between them, it doesn't matter the order. So again, just something to be aware of. All right, so we had period is any character. Square brackets is specifying which characters that we're looking for within a certain range. Asterisk allows us to repeat the previous character. All right, so here is an example. We're gonna do grep. All right, again, single RE asterisk D and then red dot text. All right. So it says find anything that has multiple E's in it, basically. So it says, oh, anything with an E or more than one E. Oh, this one case it's telling us not. All right, so it's not just that. It's repeated 0 or more times, and that's the really annoying part. So if you want this to repeat have at least one E, you'd actually have to do double E. All right, and now it has a minimum of one E. All right, so it's saying it has to repeat that previous one 0 or more times. So again, one of those things that you kind of slowly learn over time, the difference of having that letter before it or not. So just kind of be aware of that when if you're using those. All right. You also have the anchor option, all right, which is the power of Shift-6 on your keyboard. All right, and that says this has to be the first word in the line. All right. So right now, if I would do grep root /etc/password, all right. Oh, I gotta get rid of that. There we go. All right, you can see it found root as the first one, third, fourth, and then over here as the I don't know what. All right. However, if I put the little power symbol in front of Shift-6, up caret. All right. Now it's saying, oh, here's the only one that's the first one. All right. So a little caret, Shift-6, whatever you want to call it. That is first, $. All right, that is your last option. So if you want it to be the last, all right, and let's go back to the other one. So we'll do grep tilde D $, not tilde, single quote. All right, and then again, red dot text, you can see, oh, I messed that up. There we go. All right, so now it's showing you all the ones that have D's as the last letter. So again, one of those personal opinion things that you have to decide what you're going to do. All right, now, what if you actually wanted to search this for the $? Now, I don't have that, so let's just go ahead and add nano in this red file. And let's add, I don't know, $2. 2.00. All right, well, I want to grep that for the $. All right. There we go. All right, and notice it's like, oh, here's everything. Just shows you everything. All right, let's take a slightly different route here. All right, So new home is the file we're going to use now. So we've got, exclamation marks and all sorts of lovely things on here. All right. So if you wanted to, look for an asterisk, all right, which there is here up here in the warning section. All right. So we could do this. So it would be grep and single quote re backslash asterisk tilde new home. And then there we go. There we found the RE asterisk. All right, so it did find that. All right, if we didn't use that backslash in there, notice that it finds. All right, so that backslash is basically saying ignore the special purpose of this character. All right, so a little give and take. All right, I know that's a lot of information coming about basic word editing and looking at things and all that other wonderful stuff. So working with text, all right, there's a lot going on here. There's definitely a lot more that you can do with it, but these are just kind of the basics of it.